All right, here we are, and welcome to the second video in Lesson 17. We are working on page 157 in your book, so please go to page 157, and you'll see the same thing, Lisa's Way and Scott's Way. And they are both using break apart and distribute. So in break apart and distribute, you break apart one of the numbers, and you distribute it to the other number. Remember, distribute means to pass out. If I distribute a ruler to you, I'm passing out the rulers, right? Okay, so let's check it out. Here we have Lisa's way, and in your book it tells you to consider both of these ways. Okay, so we have 2 and 5/10 times 18 equals 45. 2 and 5/10 times 18 equals 2 plus 5/10 times 18. So you see how we're just breaking it apart there by breaking it into 2 plus 5/10, right? So now we're going to distribute the 18 to the 2. 2 times 18 plus 5/10 times 18. Where did the 2 and the 5/10 come from? Right there. And then we're just taking them, multiplying by the 18 separately, and then adding them together. This just makes it easier to multiply, right? Because we might even know what 2 times 18 is, or we could write it down and just do a quick 2 times 18, 16, 36, right? Then we have our 36. We might know that 5/10 times 8 would be half of 8. So that would, half of 18. So that would be 9. And then we add them together and we get 45. All right, so let's check out Scott's way. And Scott's way is very similar, but instead of breaking apart the 2 and 5/10, Scott is going to break apart the 10 and the 8. So now we have 2 and 5/10 times 10 and 2 and 5/10 times 8. Once again, the 10 and the 8 came from the 18 right there. Now this could be useful because 2 and 5/10 times 10 just means we're going to move over on our place value chart, and 2 and 5/10 has become 25, right? 2 times 10 is 20, so we can double check it. Then 2 and 5/10 times 8. Well, we could go 2 times 8, right, which would be 16. And then, like I said in the last problem, 5/10 times 8, half of 8, would be 4. Put those two together and you get 20. So we're just looking at numbers in a different way, thinking about place value. Could you do 2 and 5/10 times 8 and do a vertical form of just that part? Of course you could, right? 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4. 2 times 8 is 16 plus 4 is 20. And since this was 8/10 and we had 1 on the other side of the decimal, then we have 1 on the other side of the decimal too. So then 25 plus 20 is 45. So we have two different ways to do it. Once again, here Lisa's breaking apart the decimal, and here Scott is breaking apart the whole number. Now I want you to think about which way you would like to do it. And as you can see on the bottom of page 157, it says use Lisa's way or Scott's way to do another problem. And I have that problem right here, and you have it right there in your book, 24 times 1 and 5/10. So right there in that book right now, you go ahead and write down what you would break apart. Would you break apart the 24, or would you break apart the 1 and 5/10? Go ahead and set it up, right? So think about what you have right above it for Lisa's way and Scott's way, right? 24 times 1 and 5/10. And then maybe you're going to break apart the 1 and 5/10. So then you would rewrite 24 times parenthesis 1 plus 5/10. That's just showing which one you broke apart. If you're going to break apart the 25, then you would write 20 plus 4. right in there, and the 1 5/10 over here. Okay, so then we're going to distribute. I'm going to do 24 times 1. Yeah, because I'm distributing it to the 1. And then I'm going to add that to 24 times 5/10. The distributing will be really helpful next year when you're doing algebra in middle school, right? The distribution property. So we're just distributing the 24 to both of these. So 24 times 1, that's not too difficult, right? 24. And then I'm going to add that to 24 times 5/10. Now, if you've been listening, then you know that 5/10 would mean half of, right? Half of 24, which is 12, right? And 24 plus 12 is 36. All right. And if you did it the other way, then double check that you have 36 as well. All right. And maybe it would be helpful if we did it the other way as well. So let me just pull up a document here. And let's just write on this document. This time we're going to break the 24. So it would be 20. Nope, I broke the 24 last time, didn't I? Let's go back and look at that. No, I didn't break the 24. I broke the 1 5/10. Always good to check. Now let's break the 24. So 24 times 1 5/10 plus 4 times 1 5/10, right? So I broke my 24 into two parts, 20 and 4. But I don't want to break both things, right? I can only distribute one thing at a time. So I have to decide if I'm going to either do breaking apart the 1 5/10 or breaking apart the 20 and the 4. So I guess it would probably help if I did 20 plus 4 times 1 5/10. So my first little math sentence there shows what I'm breaking apart. Makes it a little bit clearer. So 20 times 1 5/10. Well, I could be 20 times 1, which is 20, and 20 times 5/10. That would be half of 20, right? So that's going to equal 30, right? Or 20 plus 10. Just wrote it out to make it clear. And then 4 times 1 is 4. And then 4 times 5/10, half of 4, would be 2. And add those together, you get 6. Add 30 plus 6, and you get 36. So new ways to think about multiplying that maybe, can grow our brain a little bit and make us think about different things, right? I thought this one was going to be a little harder because I'm multiplying by my 1 5/10. But when you think about it, multiplying by 1 5/10 isn't that hard. It's also pretty easy to break apart my 1 5/10. Okay, so if you need to, look at those, think about those, think about how you could break numbers apart and use them. And let's go to our joke. Why did the tomato blush? Because it saw. Because it saw. All right, tune into the next video to see what the tomato saw that made it blush. See you next time.